Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to Grilling JR with the voice of professional wrestling, Mr. Jim Ross. Jim, how are you, man?
I'm getting better every day, Conrad. I'm happy to say. Well, I'll give everybody a little update here on that in a few minutes, but I'm getting better. You know, I'm trying to get these medicines aligned, and but there's a lot of good things going on in the world that interest me. The college football playoffs, the NFL playoffs, the big show in London, which I'm anxious to see how that gets out of the gate. Well, I hope. That would be a goal of mine, to be healthy enough to go back to London next year.
I love that.
Yeah, I'd like to try to pull that off. And the nice thing about it is that, you know, you got time to fly over and have that one day that you're just healing, so to speak, from the flight. And I hope that I can pull that off. Survivor Series was interesting. I think people have glossed over how important the Will Ospreay hire is.
Yes.
Because he's really, really good, folks. If you haven't seen him, because he spent so much time in the UK, look at old Bull. He's right on it, ain't he? God damn, he's amazing. Bull Raymond's not. Ospreay, too. But he's really a unique hand. He has the most unique, stylistically, there's nobody like, he's not like anybody else. Or however way you want to look at it, Conrad. But he's a spectacular performer, and he's young enough to know what to do. He's young enough to pull off things athletically, and he's old enough to know when to draw the line, because he can do anything. It's just, you don't want to do 18 Hurricane Ranas in one match. He could if he wanted to. He's phenomenal. So anyway, a lot of things to cover, a lot of things to talk about. How are you doing?
Man, I'm better than I deserve, and I am excited like everybody is to see what's next in professional wrestling. We've had a lot of crazy stuff happen over the last couple of weeks, and we're going to talk about that. Of course, we're going to talk about our topic today, which is Christian. I mean, most everyone would agree that he's doing some of his best work, but man, you were there when he first hit the big time, and we're going to talk about all that. But
I hired a guy.
Speaking of the big time, tickets are on sale right now in a pre-sale capacity for All In. It's coming back Sunday, August 25th, Wembley Stadium, right after those Taylor Swift concerts. Tickets on sale now at AEWTIX.com. The rumor and innuendo is that there have been tens of thousands of tickets already sold. The official on sale is coming this weekend, but you can go ahead and participate in the pre-sale right now at AEWTIX.com.
That's a smart deal, Conrad. I'm sorry to interrupt you. God damn it. I should have had that last cup of coffee. I am drinking Diet Mountain Dew as part of our talk today. JR's diet has changed.
Oh, yeah?
It's almost humorous what I'm eating and what I'm not eating. So, but the London thing is huge. It felt spectacular. It felt amazing. You know, 80,000, and the count was real. I'm sure there's some out there shaking their heads now saying, "Oh, JR is just covering for AEW." No, the number was real. And because they kept track of it and monitoring the walk up, for example, because everybody wanted to win. And so, anyway, that London thing, maybe it becomes this annual pilgrimage to Wembley.
I hope so.
And it becomes like a little holiday type thing or a festival or something along those lines. If you want to build a business, eventually, you'd probably want to have somebody there, a representative there that can do all the PR and make all the business contacts and sponsorships and all those type things. But I don't think you can do that remotely, personally.
You got to think the Ospreay hire is part of the strategy for All In. Like, I just assume if, you know, here we are, 9 months away, but I just assume that he's probably going to be sniffing around that world title match if I had to guess.
I think that's a very valid guess.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
If Will Ospreay gets over to the level that is expected of him, and
Yes.
based on his amazing abilities, he could be in that spot where he's one win away from British immortality. And so it's reminiscent of back to Davey Boy and Brett.
Yes.
What was that, 92?
That's right. Look at you.
Yeah. It's the insulin I'm taking. I got some of my thoughts back. My nurse told me this week at the wound doctor appointment that I was rude to her last time. And I apologized, and I got tears in my eyes because she's a sweet little Cuban lady. And I apologized, hugged her, and everything was cool. Conrad, I didn't even remember that appointment.
Yeah.
I don't even remember walking into the clinic.
Wow.
And I was in a fog big time. And then here's the problem. I started reading more about it. Then I got scared as hell.
Right.
Because of the consequences of high blood sugar, excessively high, are not cool. So, anyhow, but the England thing is a goal. And I think Will Ospreay is, again, if all the progress creatively matures, he could be in the main event. I mean, theoretically. Now, there's a lot of guys could be in the main event. And what really is the main event? Is the main event only the match that goes last?
Right.
Or not? I don't know I think that's changing a little bit, because it seems like, the depth of a card helps sell it.
Absolutely.
And if you have multiple attractions that people want to see, does it matter which one goes on last? I'm sure it does in a big creative picture and politically and all that stuff. But I don't know what really defines a main event anymore.
It's going to be interesting to see how AEW continues to grow and evolve on the way to All In. As we said, tickets are on sale now, AEWTIX.com. You can also catch them this weekend, Erie, Pennsylvania, big Collision coming. Of course, we got to talk about what's happening on December 2nd. But then, man, next week, Montreal, I can't believe that's a thing. And then you guys will have a follow-up effort in Texas, including Final Battle 2023 coming up before you know it, Friday, December 15th. A whole lot of fun stuff, including AEW World's End, the big pay-per-view at the very end of the year, December 30th. Lots of folks talking about the return to Nassau Coliseum, Long Island, New York. Tickets on sale now, AEWTIX.com. I do want to talk about what happened this past weekend, though. WWE had a ton of success with their Survivor Series program. We've covered Survivor Series to death, to the point where you tapped out on it as a topic last month. And this was
enough. How much goddamn barbecue sauce can a fat guy eat, for God's sakes? Jesus. Well, we're going to talk about Survivor Series 1. And then guess what's the next week? Survivor Series 2.
I love you for that.
Stop my pain.
Well, we tried to hit the anniversaries. I thought we did a good job with that, but man, none bigger than this past weekend. I saw the sponsorship was up, 20 something % from the prior year. And that was evident if you were watching the show, and it was a well-reviewed show. And we saw a big return with R-Truth, an even bigger return with Randy Orton. And then the big surprise that, they managed to keep a secret somehow, some way. CM Punk, after nearly 10 years away, is back in WWE. I don't think a lot of people thought they would see it, but I guess if we've learned anything in wrestling, it's never say never, right, Jim?
Yeah, it was a perfect booking decision. It was a great creative move. And Your Honor, I put my evidence is the fact that can you hear?
The pop
was
huge. Yeah.
Because it was sustained chaos. And for the wrestling fan, hey, look, I guarantee you there's a lot of AEW fans that went to Survivor Series. They're wrestling fans. They don't have this brand bullshit where I'm only going to support one brand. So you must not really be a wrestling fan then, right? How could you be a wrestling fan and not be happy for the success of others within your industry?
Right.
I don't get it. So anyway, it was great booking, good judgment by Paul Levesque. is a perfect end to the show. For all I got to say about the whole damn thing is I didn't see it live. Admittedly, I was probably napping or watching football or something. But I think that for Phil's a friend, and didn't always agree with him, and I certainly agreed with him more than not on some of his issues. But I don't know, man. He's just a friend. I'm happy for my friends that find success in their chosen vocation. So, and I wish him the best of luck on his journey. I mean, hell, I don't agree with all the shit that went on with him. I think he could have handled it a little differently. As it probably everybody could, if you go back and look at it in hindsight. But bottom line is he left, and he was a great get, timely. I love the surprise. I just saw my timeline blow up, and I had to go look. And of course, it was all over social media, and it was cool. And the announcers laid out. I thought that was smart, timely.
How about the false finish of the little, the signature at the end? They do the little copyright notice and all that, like they're going off the air. Mm-hmm. So if you were watching live, you felt like that's the end of the show, and then bam, the music hits. I thought that was a nice touch. Apparently that was a Triple H call. Not even everybody in the production truck knew it was happening, if you believe what you read online. I do want to just tag on to something you said a minute ago. When you were talking about his decisions and leaving and all that, JR was referencing when he left the WWE the first time. We're not talking about anything that happened anywhere else. The story is, hey man, this dude's been gone from WWE for 10 years. Yeah. So,
he should have been gone 10 years, but be that as it may, it happened.
Yes.
I always enjoyed, Phil's a very good conversationalist. He's very opinionated, and he's very polarizing, but he's a captivating conversationalist. I'll say that for him. So just as friend to friend, and look, we don't exchange Christmas cards. I don't talk to Phil or text Phil every week or nothing like that. Rarely. He checks on me, my health, which I appreciate. You'd be surprised at all your lifelong friends that ain't said one word when they know you're sick as hell.
That sucks.
Yeah. Society. I ain't mad at nobody. It's society. So anyway, good for Phil. Good for Phil and good for wrestling. Hope it works out good for everybody. And what's that saying, Conrad? Large tides raise all ships, or something along those lines.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, that's the gist of the deal. I think what's good for WWE is good for the wrestling business. What's good for AEW is good for the wrestling business. Yeah, what's good for Impact is good for the wrestling business. And this feels like this is going to be a net positive for WWE. And you obviously worked closely once upon a time with Mr. Brooks, and I know you're pulling for his success, as you are everybody's success.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Look, Conrad, I'm 71.
Right.
Next year will be 50 years in the business. I've learned a few things. We've had some success, but you never wish ill or boo-boo face for somebody else's success. It's not good karma. It's not logical. You're fretting about things you can't control. And as I got older, one of the best lessons I taught myself, because I was in this position, is don't worry about things you can't affect.
Right.
And I did that for years and decades, because there was a problem every day. Talent relations was it was just a clearinghouse, and it was challenging. So, and it sounds like, Triple H has got that under control, and like I said, good for wrestling. And the more successes we find in the business, it's going to help everybody.
Well, that's exactly right. And hopefully everybody makes more money. And I know that's what we're all focused on in 2024. I want to give you a little pro tip, something that I think is a bit of a game changer. I'm talking about our friends over at Rocket Money, because I have to admit, I thought I was pretty on top of my finances. And then I found Rocket Money and I realized, hey, I can up my game here. You see, I didn't think that I had fallen victim to any of those free trial gimmicks. I didn't think that I had any subscriptions that I was paying for that I wasn't actively using, and boy, was I wrong. It turns out something like 80% of people have a subscription they've completely forgotten about. I was amongst them. I've mentioned this before. My wife and I both subscribed to the exact same streaming service, but we watched TV together. So that was silly. That was an easy cut. And a whole bunch of other stuff that we just kind of forgot about. She had like 5 or 6 different fitness apps that she had signed up for over the years that she wasn't using anymore. I had signed up for a fight subscription I wasn't using anymore. We were saving a whole bunch of money, but Rocket Money can help you quickly identify all of those sneaky subscriptions that keep charging you month after month, and they cancel any you no longer use. It's such an easy way to start saving money. What you need to know is that Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions. It also monitors your spending, and it helps you lower your bills all in one place. Let's explain how easy this is. With Rocket Money, you can easily cancel all the subscriptions you don't want with the press of just one button. No more long hold times, no more annoying emails with customer service. You see, Rocket Money does all of the work for you. And how about this? They even negotiate to lower your bills for you by up to 20%. Rocket Money only asks that you take a picture of your bill, and then Rocket Money takes care of the rest. It's all that easy. And they can even help you monitor all of your expenses in just one place. They'll recommend some custom budgets based on your prior spending. And this is a favorite in my household. They'll even send you a notification when you've reached your spending limits. Don't tell her, but my wife needs that. So with over 5 million users and counting, Rocket Money has saved its customers an average of $720 a year and $1 billion in total savings so far. So stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and manage your money the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/JR. That's rocketmoney.com/JR, rocketmoney.com/JR.
You know, Conrad, this is such a great idea. It's one of those ideas we talk about here on the show. Why didn't I think of that?
That's right.
Well, Conrad, why didn't you and I think of that? It's just so much common sense. And the other thing that impresses me about this app is that you're not going to be online all day.
Yes.
This is a quick process. They got their stuff together, and I just think more people should check it out. Hey, if nothing else, just go take a look at their site. Take a look and see how easy it is to navigate and how important it is to save that money. You know, none of us know what the economy is going to do. We'd like to think we do, but we don't. In all honesty, we don't. So I just know if you can save money, you're better off.
Yes.
And that's kind of where I am on this deal. Rocket Money is awesome. It's absolutely awesome. And they do the work. And hey, look, I'm the most illiterate IT computer guy that you probably know. And hell, it didn't intimidate me. So there's that.
Check it out right now. rocketmoney.com/JR. So easy. Even JR can do it.
That's
Jim,
right.
I want to talk about Christian, but before we do, this weekend is a big weekend. College football is here.
Yeah.
It's rivalry week in the rearview mirror, and now it's championship season. We're going to see Oregon play Washington.
That should be a hell of a game. They play, there's a conference championship.
Yes.
Right. I mean, their game earlier in the year was one of the most entertaining football games I saw all year. And they got 2 guys. I guess they got 2 guys there. 2 quarterbacks are in the hunt for the Heisman. So I don't know when all the votes are. I don't have a Heisman vote, believe it or not.
We got to fix that.
Yeah, we got to work on it. Bull, take a note. Bull Ramus will handle all that.
So it's Oregon.
Remember, Bull is working on my Blue Chew assignment.
So you got that.
How many shipments you think I got, Conrad, since I brought this topic up? None.
Oh, we can't have you down there with a soft Peter, Mr. Ross. I just won't do.
Hey, man, I need all the help I can get in this state I'm in. Because I can tell you that insulin is not a stimulant. Well, it is in a way. I can tell you that I'm feeling so much better since I started giving myself these shots at night. And I didn't want to do it because I was a puss. But the needles are so small, as I've mentioned. So I've given myself a shot and didn't even know that I gave myself a shot because I didn't feel anything. So anyway, what were we talking about?
We're talking about this weekend, college football, Oregon and Washington. Yeah. That's going to be happening this Friday night. Any strong feelings one way or another? Like who you got in this one?
Oregon.
Okay.
But it's a coin toss. If I would have said Washington, I wouldn't have felt bad about it. Two great quarterbacks. One of them's going to be the Heisman Trophy winner, I think. So you bet they'll be motivated by mom and dad and their agent. You know, we got to have a great performance. We got to win the game. You've got to be the star, and we're going to go on to the NFL draft and make a lot of money. Because, you know, Bo Nix has been playing football, it seems like, for 30 years.
That's right. He started playing for Auburn back in 1998. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
98? No, come on, Conrad.
No, not for real, but it is a name that we are very familiar with here in Alabama. And his Ducks come in as a 9.5 point favorite. So you like the favorites there. We've got another big matchup that you're probably more familiar with, Texas and Oklahoma State. Texas come in at a 14.5 point favorite. What's your pick there? Texas and Oklahoma State.
I think they cover.
Okay.
I think they cover. Texas has got so much more talent than Oklahoma State. And I'm not saying that because I'm anti-Oklahoma State. They're in my state. They're an Oklahoma team. So I'm hopefully they'll do well. And then beating Texas would be sweet. I just don't see it happening. Texas is deep in talent. They're on a roll. Their coach has them believing, which is part of the whole huge part of the game in anything you're doing. You got to believe in the system. And I believe in my doctors. And someday I'll be sitting here, I'll be a little bit older, and we'll say, hey, Conrad, remember that shit back in about 2022 or something, 23? I don't know when it was. And we'll laugh about it, hopefully. So I'm going for Texas on this one. That's hard for me to say because they're our big rivalry at Oklahoma, hence the free Sooners here. But I think Texas covers. Now, Oklahoma State's just, they're offbeat, man. They are a little different breed of cat. And by saying that, I mean they're unpredictable.
Yeah.
And they got a great running back. These running backs get hot and they get on a roll and they keep running downhill. You may have another issue to deal with because what that does, it keeps the Texas offense on the sideline. Simple process. So I'm pulling for Oklahoma State, but I don't think they win. I don't think they even get close.
What about Florida State and Louisville? Florida State comes in as a 2.5 point favorite. That seems awfully close to me. Do you think this could be an upset? Do you like Louisville in this one, or are you going with the favorite?
I think no, I don't dislike Louisville at all. I think the lack of their starting quarterback in Florida State is going to catch up to them. And so with that said, I mean, if the quarterback was healthy, I'd have a different opinion. But I do think Louisville squeezes one out here.
Wow.
In that one. I might be wrong. Hey, I'm not anti-Florida State. I live amongst them here in Jacksonville. But I just think that lack of that star quarterback making big plays, and I haven't watched them, so I don't know how the backup quarterback even plays, Connie. But it's all about the quarterback. And Florida State's quarterback, whomever that may be, has got to have a productive night. He
took a hell of a lick this past weekend. And Alabama had that golden horseshoe up their tail this last weekend with the last second, 4th and 31 upset, snatched away from Auburn. And now they roll in to Atlanta, taking on basically the home team, the Georgia Bulldogs. Yeah. Georgia is a 5.5 point favorite. A lot of people have this one circled. It's number 1 versus number 8. This is like the 4,000th time that these two teams have placed, or found themselves in the SEC championship, or so it feels. Of course, Alabama has 1 loss on their record this year, a 10-point loss to Texas that has a lot of people scratching their head now. But what do you think happens in this game, Georgia and Alabama? Because if Alabama wins, boy, that top 4 playoff looks a little funky. You think Georgia handles business?
It'll change. It'll change big time. Saturday, this weekend's games is going to massively affect the college football rankings.
Yes,
massively. So, I'm a big Saban fan. I love his philosophy. I love his straightforwardness. There's no doubt who's in charge down there, which I really respect and appreciate. I just don't think they got the horsepower to get past Georgia. God dang, you look at Georgia's lineup offensively and defensively. They're long, they're lean, they're big and strong. They can run. It's just amazing because Kirby Smart's got them on this little roll where it's almost like, are you really recruiting or are you selecting? Because they get whoever they want.
Yeah, they do.
When's the last time you read about Georgia losing a recruit that they really coveted? I don't remember any time.
I don't remember that.
So anyhow, I'm going to pick Georgia only because of the talent depth, but I'd love to see Alabama win.
It's going to be a really fun game to watch. Of course, Georgia did play Auburn earlier in the season. We know Alabama just barely eked out a victory back when Georgia played Auburn, another big rivalry game at the end of September. Georgia won by a touchdown. It was 27-20, so it was closer than people remember. I don't know what to expect this weekend, but I will say on all the games we've picked today, I like the dogs. I take the dogs and the points. I don't mean the Bulldogs. I mean the underdogs and the points. I think I would take the points on every single one of these this week, Jim.
Well, hey, you got a set of nuts. There's plenty of services to go in there and, if your nuts are as big as Bull Ramus,
it's pretty big.
They look like 2 little cantaloupes with 4 or 5 hairs on them. I would say that wouldn't be a horrible bet. I wouldn't go into the weekend dreading it if I took the points in every game.
Right. Well, let's talk about our topic today. We'll see what happens this weekend with college football, and of course, don't you?
Oh, Conrad, I got to tell you about my diet.
Oh yeah. Let's do that.
Yeah, my diet. Trying to lower the carbs. Hey, look, I take any suggestions. On this thing. A lot of guys and gals are listening, have personal experience in diabetes. Either they have it, or mom has it, or dad had it, grandpa had, whatever. But I knew I had to change my diet. I didn't expect to start doing the insulin shots, but I am, and it's helping me a lot. The insulin. I'm going to see my doctor, as I said, on Friday. We're going to discuss dosage. I wouldn't mind getting a little more, but that's just me being an idiot. So I changed my diet. I haven't had any bread, no bread at all. No non-diet, non-sugar sodas. Hence my transformation over to Diet Mountain Dew. So I eat a lot of watermelon, little chunks, so that you get them at Publix or someplace. And it's a weird diet. It's not a diet. It's just what I've chosen to eat. And so it's all low sugar. And I'm having to compensate. I found some cookies at Publix. I should be a Publix guy. I found some cookies at Publix that were sugar-free. So that's a nice little go-to snack. Maybe it's wrong, but there's no sugar in them. So that's what I've done. I eat hummus, more hummus. I never really was a hummus guy, but I learned to like it pretty good.
Well,
I eat it on Conrad. I eat it on hummus. I dip my oh God damn it, crackers, whatever we call it.
Pita.
What's those little crackers that you get? They're kind of nice. They're not like saltines, but they're a little bit more.
A club cracker.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I eat my little hummus on. But here's the deal. I found out that, you ain't got to eat like you're, one of the McGuire twins. Come on. Use the logic. So that's kind of what I've tried to do. So I'm finding things along the way that fill a food void that's healthy. I found out that beans are good for a diabetic. And I found beans that had no sugar added. So that's cool. But the bad thing about that is, I'm living here in Jacksonville, 2-bedroom condo here on the old beach. And when you fart, it follows you. It permeates the little space I'm in. Now, if I fart in Oklahoma, I got a bigger house. I got, 3 bedrooms and 3-car garage and all that bullshit. What? What's the matter, Connie?
I just didn't expect. Now, Connie, when I'm on the beach and I fart, I just never thought.
Now, if I go outside on the patio and fart,
the wind takes care of it. The breeze.
Oh, the wind's your buddy.
Yes.
But if I let one escape after eating all those damn beans,
here we go.
Beans are the culprit.
It's not your fault.
It ain't my fault.
No.
It's just Mother Nature.
Yes.
I respect Mother Nature's powers.
My God. So listen, folks, if you've got some suggestions about Jim's new diet, of course, he's using.
Send them to Dave Silva.
Well, hey, at JR's BBQ, hit him up on Twitter and let him know what, if you've, been dealing with diabetes and insulin and you've you've had to do a life change and you've got some pro tips for your favorite voice of wrestling. Send him those ideas at JR's BBQ. He's looking for your advice. And Jim, you told me.
I know the people out there listening are making an attempt to watch our show. And without sounding like an idiot, and I'm not going to run off and write a country song about this, but I know they care about me. So if somebody's had a personal experience that's helped them along the way with their diabetic issues, then they feel good about helping me.
That's right.
And I feel good about them extending that opportunity.
Yes.
So anyway, there you have it. No, we're not going to have a food drive or a GoFundMe. It's just, I need some ideas. And I'm anxious to see what comes in on Twitter at JRSBBQ.
Looking for that help, looking for that support. If you've got some ideas, send them JR's way. Jim, we're looking forward to you being back on the road with AEW, doing what you do best. I can just feel your spirits are lifted. It feels like you're feeling a little better. You're at least sounding a little better. And I'm excited for you to get all this dialed in. In the meantime, support the brand that supports JR, AEWTIX.com. And one of the major players in the All Elite Wrestling program these days is a fella named Christian. And the man behind that name, Jay Resso, is 50 today as you're listening to this. Wow. Today is his birthday. And I got to tell you, Jim, I think, and I don't think I'm alone in this, as far as his character work goes and me being excited when he's on TV, I think he's doing his best work right now. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it is amazing. I'm happy for Jay. Golly, he's had a very unique journey with some interruptions. He was the underachiever. He was, that's Edge's partner.
Man.
My thumb. You know what I mean? He had a hard time building his own identity. And I think probably going to TNA helped him as much as anything, because he got a chance to be in the spotlight and work in main event slots on television to see how he would deliver. And he delivered well. Then he was gone for a long time.
Yes.
And I cannot wait to hear his promos.
Yes.
I said on look, he's the hell of a worker. Don't get me wrong. But bottom line of that is his attraction to me is his verbal skills.
Yes.
Which I think are incredible. And you can tell he's given a lot of thought to what he's going to say or how long he's going to talk or all these little criteria that come floating in when you're producing something live. So he's I don't know of anybody that's had this big a leap to more success at that age. I'm sure there's somebody out there. Somebody's going to, but bottom line is, it's pretty.
It's special.
It is special. And look, folks, this don't happen all the time.
That's right.
You can't look at the calendar and say, well, who's the next guy that turns 50 that's going to be a big star? I don't know. You tell me. So I'm all for Christian. I'm all for Jay Resso. And I see him, he's very introspective. As you can tell by the expression on his face most of the time. He looks like he's constipated. His face is, kind of, it's not, let's talk face. Or his face usually is like, let's leave me alone.
Yeah. Because
he's engrossed in something that's in his head that he's got to do on the TV show. So I really am proud of what he's doing. I think we're way away from seeing the best of Jay Resso, aka Christian, that we will see. And the great thing about AEW is the fact that they got this great schedule. I mean, come on, he's on one show in a week, right?
Yep. Not bad.
So he lives in a hub where he can catch flights, and he lives in Tampa, I think, or somewhere in that neighborhood, maybe Orlando. Hell, I don't know. Somewhere down in Florida where he can fly easily.
Right.
So the schedule's manageable. I think he needs to work on his wardrobe.
Oh, I love it. I think that's part of one of my favorite things, that he's wrestling in a cutoff turtleneck. I think is fucking awesome.
Yeah, I'm just being bullshit.
By the way, I'm glad you gave him his props as a promo, because, we've known that he's been entertaining. We're going to cover his WWE career here today, but we saw so many great segments with him and Edge as a tag team, and we saw a lot of their comedic chops.
Yeah.
But to be able to turn it on and make it serious, I think he's one of the few guys who does both really well. Like, Kurt Angle could do both really well, and The Rock could do both really well, but The Rock always sort of skews more comedy. And that's not the case with Christian. I think Christian has really come into his own here in AEW. I absolutely love what he's doing. And you can always watch great matches on AEW. You can always count on Tony Khan to put together great matches. But when it comes to the promo and making me care about the story in the match, like Tony's fabulous about putting together, first time ever, these dream matches. Like, I'll never forget, the first Arthur Ashe thing with Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson. I was pumped for that match, but the story is usually what hooks me. And everything Christian does has been really, really well done. And it makes me want to ask you about Wrestler Prime. Somebody that you and I are friends with, I probably shouldn't say their name, told me once that Wrestler Prime in their mind was like 39 to like 43. And he cited all these great examples of Ric Flair and Terry Funk and a whole host of others who he felt like did their best work in those handful of years. Now, we know Christian at one time didn't think he'd be able to wrestle again, and he had some time off there. So maybe we could backtrack a little bit, but do you think there is such a thing as Wrestler Prime? Not in terms of just in ring, but really putting the whole presentation together with the character work and the promos and all that. Is there a Wrestler Prime to you?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. I mean, so Christian's the exception. He's 50. He's done his best work in his entire career ever. He's never been close in this role. The role meaning a leader of a little group, working singles matches and things of that nature. He's just He's at his best right now. And, you know, this ain't bodybuilding, not the fact that he's not in shape. He's in great shape.
Yes.
He has great stamina and endurance, and he's a veteran. He could pace the match and dictate where it's headed. He can call the plays in his matches.
Yes.
And Bill Watts told me once a long time ago, he told me a lot of things. God bless him. That, you know, one of his sayings, athletic big men sell tickets.
Mm.
The other thing is, God damn it, this is a side effect of this medicine. I'll come back to it. But nonetheless, what else did he tell me? It was good.
I think he was telling
about it. I'll think about it and blurt it out like what do you call those guys that just all of a sudden they blurt out things?
Tourette's.
Yeah. I'll have Tourette's here in a few minutes.
Well, I think I might have some of it too. Mary Balmus from our friends over at Manscaped. The holidays are approaching, but what if I told you that the celebrations are starting early this year?
Boy, they're taking care of me, Conrad. I'm telling you.
How's that dick hair looking these days, Jim?
Same size, no big deal.
Well, it turns out the perfect gift does exist. Who else to bring it down your chimney than the leaders in below the waist grooming? Keep calm and let your balls jingle this season with Manscaped's brand new Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, featuring the new Lawnmower 5.0. Watch all your wishes and mistletoe kisses come true. Look nice when you're going naughty by going to manscaped.com and use the code Jim Ross for 20% off plus free shipping. Unwrap the gift of smoothness this season with Manscaped. Of course, we're talking about Manscaped's Performance Package 5.0 Ultra. Inside this special sack, you'll find the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, the Weed Whacker 2.0 ear and nose hair trimmer, Manscaped's liquid formulation, and 2 free gifts. I want to tell you about the new Lawnmower 5.0 though. It's the 5th generation trimmer from Manscaped, and it's got 2 next gen blade heads, a standard trimmer blade for a little off the top, and Tony Schiavone's new favorite, the foil blade. Tony's balls are smoother than ever thanks to the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. And
I'm glad to know that.
Dude, he was really bragging about it on his show. Next time you see him, just ask for a little show. Weed Whacker 2.0 though, the nose and ear hair trimmer. Let me remind you that along with the new lawnmower, both have the proprietary advanced skin safe technology, meaning it's not going to be uncomfortable. And now that you've groomed your candy cane, let's make sure you don't smell like a reindeer. How about that crop soother aftershave lotion and Tony's favorite, the crop preserver anti-chafe ball deodorant. Once they touch your sack, you'll never look back. It's the gift of Manscaped, and it doesn't stop there. 2 free gifts, Manscaped boxers. They got a brand new 2.0 version of their premium underwear and the Shed 2.0 toiletry bag, which JR uses to carry his vapes town to town. Once you're done shaping up, it's only right you put your pants presents in the best wrapping. These Boxers 2.0 are getting rave reviews. You're going to love them. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code Jim Ross at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com when you use our code Jim Ross. Manscaped, get your jingle balls ready for the holidays. And Jim, this is a great gift for yourself, but it is the ultimate gift if you're doing like a dirty Santa or a present swap. Or maybe you're just trying to buy for your uncle or your dad or your grandfather. If you want to get a big reaction, let them open Manscaped in front of everybody. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. And I like the fact that it's 20% off right now.
Yeah.
Free shipping. So a lot of that pain in the ass stuff you got to deal with here at the holidays regarding acquiring your package or your gift or what have you. But Conrad's right. It's a great gift. And you're going to get dialogue on it. You'll get people to talk about it. They're going to examine it. And then they're going to buy one themselves.
Check it out. You'll be glad you did. It's manscaped.com. Use the promo code Jim Ross. So
Yes,
listen,
sir.
In a recent episode, we discussed the beginnings of Edge, Adam Copeland. And of course, Christian grew up with Adam. They're both huge wrestling fans from Canada. They're coming up through the ranks of the independents after being trained by Ron Hutchinson. This is one of my favorite stories in all of wrestling. Like, I think most of our listeners are probably around my age, and most of us probably had a wrestling friend, and we might wrestle in the living room and use the pillows off the couch. And I think a lot of our listeners did that. We had like a friend we grew up watching wrestling with. And now imagine what you imagined when you were a kid that, hey, we're the tag team champions. What if that shit was real? What if you really pursued your dream and you really did become tag team champions with your best friend? Well, it happened for Adam and Jay, who we know as Edge and Christian. And Christian, man, right there at the very beginning of all of this journey with Adam. And of course, Adam gets signed first. And as I understand it, he was really on you all the time. Just look at him, just look at him, just look at him.
Yeah.
And finally, Christian gets that opportunity. And now their dreams come true. They're WWE superstars. When was Christian first on your radar?
It was early. It wasn't too long after I signed Adam. And, I knew of him because here's the thing, looking at tape of Adam, it generally included Christian.
Right.
Tag matches. Hello. You play to win. No, Herm Edwards. But I early on, because he was on as much tape as I was watching of Edge, Adam, as Adam was. They're in tag matches.
Right.
So I saw a lot of Jay. Jay's biggest issue is that everybody knows that to some degree, McMahon is a body guy. His physique for his age and all that stuff is astonishing. It's amazing, but he's a body guy.
Right.
And I think we can all agree, without being naughty, that Christian's body is not his forte. He's athletic. He's lean. I like it because it's a different look than the typical vision of a pro wrestler these days. Big traps, veiny, hair wet, a zillion and 3 tattoos.
Jim, do you think, I mean, obviously the style and look and presentation of WWE superstars has changed quite a bit. As we understand it, these cats went to WrestleMania 6 to see Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior in the main event. And I don't think anybody would confuse Edge and Christian with the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan physique wise. Right. But Correct. It does feel like as time has gone on, the expectations of a wrestler and what a great wrestler looks like has changed. And I almost think about like a Wade Barrett, or for that matter, even a Christian. It's a much leaner, almost like a more swimmer physique. Not to say that they're not in great shape and they're not a great athlete, but they don't just have muscle on top of muscle. They're not muscle bound like they're.
Well, Conrad, here's what's happening. It's real simple. Here's what's happening. What's happening is, Dusty used to do that. Well, what it is
yes.
What's happening is that the decision makers, by and large, have set their qualifications and requirements to hire a talent. They've amended them. So what you're getting is, that's why there's such a proliferation of small guys. They're the most athletic, and that's what the decision makers are looking for: athleticism, storytelling, all those things. So that's why big guys come at a premium. This kid that AEW's got, Big Bill.
Yep.
I'm really high on him.
Yes.
He is a real athlete. He's participated in organized team sports, so he can play well with others. And he's got a great look. He's got a hot fiance. What the hell else you want? But he's the kind of guy that you spend a little bit more time on. I said this all the way back to Full Sail when I was going down there and helping out. I mentioned it to somebody in a production meeting. Well, this big guy, whatever his real name is, I don't even go by their real names, but nonetheless, Big Bill was being discussed. And somebody, I guess it maybe just to be heard because it sure is stupid. And they wanted to get rid of him.
Right.
And I said, guys, Vince will never adhere and agree with this development. you give a big guy like that a little more time to evolve, because the rewards can be amazing. And I'm not saying that you got to be 7 feet to outdraw a 5'10" guy. It's all about attitude. It's all about aptitude. But golly, man, and it's good for wrestling because more guys are getting a chance. You think 15 years ago or 10 years ago, even Rey Mysterio had to basically make his name in Mexico. He was not going to get over here in the very beginning until he built his act.
Right.
So it's like a stand-up. He's got good material. And if you have good material, you're going to be successful, get some laughs, and make some money. So anyway, that's where I am on that particular matter. I think it's good for wrestling.
Yes.
That the best athletes and the best human beings are being brought in. And the character of a prospect is just as important as the size of their biceps. Character. Reliability. Say it all the time.
We know that Christian is going to work some dark matches in Ontario right after the Montreal screw job. He'll be wrestling Adam Copeland, who we know is going to be Edge. And here they are 26 years later, still working together. And of course you sign him to a developmental deal. He winds up going through, I guess, like the unofficial developmental program at the time, the Funk Dojo. Dory Funk was putting on these camps in Stamford. And then eventually, of course, he makes his way to the main roster.
Conrad, this Dory doing this camp, being so involved in training, don't want to leave out Tom Pritchard because he also contributed amazingly. Really proud of where Tommy is in his life. But having Dory Jr. give you one-on-one instruction is like Babe Ruth teaching you how to hit a baseball. You can't be replicated. His personal experiences are unparalleled. He meaning Dory Jr. So we got lucky there on that deal, to be honest with you. I knew that both of them could teach. I didn't know coach. And that's how I always looked at coaching.
Yep.
So, but Dory was a huge help, and he loved Edge and Christian. He loved their aptitude. He loved their attitude. So, because I talked to him every day. So we had some guys in that group that we had to make stars out of. We needed the stars. We're void in a lot of areas. They're getting older, et cetera, et cetera. So, Dory was great with those kids. And he saw the value and the potential in Edge and Christian like many of us.
With Gangrel and Edge already on the main roster, I guess it made sense to marry them all together, right? I mean, I know you weren't handling creative at the time, but
we're just trying to find something for this. We will get them in the lineup.
Yes.
Let's get them playing. And so somebody had this idea. Hey, look, they make an impressive 8x10. They got unique looks. And by the way, they all could work. Edge and Christian had all that experience in the Indies and Ontario and et cetera. Gangrel had been in the business forever. And I was glad to see David Heath there get a break. And I think he helped Edge and Christian. Because anytime you can put some young guys like Edge and Christian with a veteran like Gangrel, who's unselfish, it's a good thing.
We know that, and this sort of gets forgotten about, much like the Undertaker first debuted as Kane the Undertaker. Well, by 1998, Kane is a different character, and he's feuding with his brother, the Undertaker. And when Christian debuts, he calls his quote unquote brother Edge a breakdown. Do you think there was maybe the reason we moved away from that? It was too close to the Kane Undertaker thing. Too many brothers fighting with each other.
I've never thought of that.
Yeah.
So it didn't impact me that way, Conrad, but I'm not denying your point. But that's not how I didn't get that impression. I didn't get that feeling. And generally my instincts are pretty decent in some of those areas. So I don't think so. I don't think it had anything to do. One had anything to do with the other.
We know that Christian didn't grow up a huge fan of the light heavyweight title because we literally just created it. But in his first match in the WWF, he's actually going to win that title from Taka Michinoku. So this is a big opportunity for him to not only be on TV, but to win his first match and win a title in the process. This Brood gimmick at the time was really over with a certain subset of fans. And it feels like as time has gone on, fans have really started to appreciate their work back then even more. People to this day still say it's one of the best ring entrances, one of the best theme songs.
Yeah.
Do you think there was money left on the table with the Brood in the end?
That's a good question. And, that's why you're here. The good questions. I'm kidding. I think maybe there's a little juice left in the vine.
Yeah.
And the berry. But you can say that so much more often than not when something ends.
Yeah.
Well, they could have got one more out of that deal. So I think it goes with the territory, quite frankly. And but my point is, Conrad, in hindsight, I can go back and see how I could have done it if I was doing it. Another angle, get them another run with another team, that type thing. So because we liked them together. I sure liked them together. They traveled together. They took care of each other. Just good dudes, man. So I think there's a little bit left in the, but I don't know how much. You don't know until you shoot that next angle.
That's right.
Or you move on. You don't know. So, but my guts, maybe just because I love the entrance and I love their music and I thought they had a cool gimmick. Maybe it's my own bias that's making me make this decision, but to say that, yeah, there's a little bit left. At least that's what I think. We'll never know.
Christian winds up dropping that title to Dwayne Gill of the Job Squad, and eventually Edge joins Gangrel and Christian. The Brood is formed. Their interest, as we said, is just this iconic image of the Attitude Era. And in early February of 99, Edge and Christian team up to take on the Hardy Boys for the very first time. It happened, believe it or not, on Shotgun Saturday Night. I bring this up because this is a night where Raw was being held at the Sky Dome in front of 41,432 people. So think about all the history in that sentence. We've talked about how these guys attended WrestleMania 6. So they're there in the crowd for this special moment in their fandom.
Just fans, simply fans.
And then they come back and they wrestle a Monday Night Raw, well, the largest in history, 41,432 people. And they're going to tag team together. The two guys who went to that show to see their favorites together now are going to be tagging together against the Hardy Boys for the first time. It's really unbelievable when you think about it.
Pretty cool. It gave me a great house show match. Anytime you could book those two teams, and then later the Dudleys, you had money.
Yes.
And you had a great, if you said to those guys, hey, look, we need 30 minutes tonight. They wouldn't say one word. None of them. They'd probably look at it as just a bigger opportunity and with more time to expose their skill set. But the Hardys and Edge and Christian had such amazing natural chemistry. It's almost like and this is going to be eye roller, I guess. They knew what they were going to do before they did it.
Yes.
Smooth, logical. And then when I put the Dudleys in those live events with them, you had to be careful on that deal because you sure as hell can't have a ladder match every night unless you want to kill your guys. But you can have three ways. You just don't have the gimmick, the stip. So, they had great chemistry. And they kept learning, Conrad. They kept learning and maturing. And, they could go out and lead a match as the heels as easy as anybody on the roster. they were students of the game. They were lifelong fans, and they learned something everywhere along the way.
What did you think of the bloodbath? You know, that was a big part of the Brood presentation. It's something that we didn't see a lot in wrestling before that. You know, the down from the ceiling, here it comes. You get this, I don't know, food coloring combination, but all of a sudden people are just drenched in quote unquote blood. Yeah. I'm really surprised with everything they put you through. You never got a bloodbath. What do you think?
Connie, you evil bastard.
There's still time. There's still time, Tony Khan.
No, there ain't. No, there ain't still time.
What do you think?
I was mixed on that. It got the surprise, aghast pop from me because I wasn't sure how it was going to play out. I don't recall them rehearsing it.
Right.
Maybe they did. I don't know, but I don't recall that happening. So the shock of it and the reaction of the fans was spot on. But I just thought, well, this will work once. And it needs to be at special times, with special people, special place, all that good shit. But this will work once really good. It might work twice if it's good timed appropriately. But it's not something you're going to see every week. That was my take on it.
Eventually the Brood is absorbed by the Ministry of Darkness, and they're going to essentially become minions for the Undertaker. One of their most memorable moments, a part of the Ministry of Darkness, is after the Undertaker defeats the Big Boss Man at the Hell in a Cell in WrestleMania 15. They're going to hang the Big Boss Man and pull him to the roof of the building there in Philadelphia. Quite the debut for these cats here at WrestleMania. And
yeah,
Christian eventually becomes the catalyst of the whole Stephanie McMahon kidnapping angle, where he's going to admit to her location after Ken Shamrock has him locked in an ankle lock. He gets kicked out of the Ministry of Darkness. And I don't know, man, I kind of liked the Brood on their own more than I did them being a part of the Ministry of Darkness. I understand the association.
Watered it down.
Yes. Yes.
And there's only so many at-bats you're going to get.
Yeah.
And you're wasting them, and they're sort of being featured. Edge and Christian are a part of an ensemble, and this ain't like Friends or Seinfeld. It's an ensemble cast, and so who stars in an ensemble cast? That's why they have the successes on television history, where a character on a television show spins out to their own show. That's always going to be the goal. And it's very seldom do you see, a cast stay together like the cast of, what's that show I just said? Shit. I get off on these fucking tangents and then I lose my train of thought. But anyway, Friends. Is that what it is? Yeah, Friends. So anyhow, there's that. I still haven't thought what the cowboy told me, but I will. Tourette's boy's on his way.
Well, speaking of Friends, Michael Hayes is going to position himself as a friend and manager of sorts, a mentor to the Hardys. And this allows them to have a 6-man feud with the Brood. So it would be Edge, Christian, and Gangrel. Right. And I think when people think back on this presentation, they think, oh man, they put Michael Hayes out there. He's so old. He was 40. He's not old, but the Hardy Boys are super young. What'd you think of Michael Hayes' last run here, if you will, doing some 6-mans with the Brood?
I love the fact that Michael had the opportunity to be a tutor.
Yes.
To be a coach. Because guys like the Hardys, especially, and there were others that I could name, sometimes if they had a negative, it was the fact that they may have worked a little too fast. Let me register what you're doing, because what you're doing is sensational, but if I can't sell it myself, if I can't have the time to process it, then it's not going to be nearly as effective. So, I thought Michael had a lot of great qualities in that regard. He helped those guys' career immensely because he kept pitching for them. Michael was also involved in creative.
Yep.
So he kept pitching for them. So their front of mind awareness, they meaning pronoun boy, was, you know, it was just, I'm trying to think of the best word, but I can't. Anyway, there you go. That's what happens.
Well, I'll tell you what's fun to think about the timing of what we're about to talk about here. Survivor Series this past weekend was at the old Rosemont Horizon. These days, I think it's called the Allstate Arena, but it was the home of WrestleMania 13 and so many iconic moments and matches through wrestling history. But Edge and Christian would team up in the Rosemont Horizon to take on Owen Hart and Jeff Jarrett, and what actually would wind up being Owen's last match before the tragic accident.
Wow.
So a little piece of trivia there. Christian was involved in Owen's last match. King of the Ring 99, Gangrel is going to cost Edge and Christian their number one contenders match against the Hardys for the tag straps. And now we're starting to break up the Brood. As we said, maybe there's a little bit more juice in that. But watching Edge and Christian take on the Hardy Boys, this felt like something that was ahead of its time.
It's Briscoes and Funks. It was chemistry personified. It was four guys that had comparable styles that were unselfish and willing to do whatever was best for the betterment of the match. They were unselfish. Both teams took a ton of bumps, showing that hey, I'm here to get this thing over. So yeah, man, it was that was magic. I don't know. Look, some people are going to roll their eyes about the Briscoe Funk reference, but I mean to say it was great timing.
Yes.
It was a great chemistry.
Yes.
And, those are some good tag team times. Say that 3 times.
We know that Michael Hayes is going to transition out as the leader of the Hardys. Gangrel is going to assume that spot. He's looking for revenge against Edge and Christian. And around this same time, the Dudley Boys would be introduced into the company. That happens in late August 1999, and immediately attack Edge and Christian and the Acolytes during a match. The tag division is starting to look really, really strong again. There was a time where maybe the tag division wasn't priority.
It was an afterthought.
Yes.
That's what it was.
It's crazy to think though, because there used to be so many great tag teams, whether it was Demolition or the Hart Foundation or the Rockers or the Bulldogs
Mid-Atlantic Wrestling was built on tag teams, Connie.
Yes. Yes.
You know, I love going back and reading some of those stories of back in the day in Charlotte and Raleigh and all that area, because the main events were always tag matches.
Yeah.
That was before the advent of Ric Flair, which is a once in a lifetime deal. The tag thing was reliable. And as far as Mr. Crockett was concerned, he was a tag team guy.
At Unforgiven, we would see Edge and Christian finally get a tag team title shot on pay-per-view, and it's against the New Age Outlaws. They're not successful in their effort, but they're at least showing, hey, they belong on this stage.
They got booked in a main event level match.
Yes.
That's what happened.
Yes.
And they had the opportunity to put somebody over. And it's not about who goes over, it's about who gets over.
Yes, sir.
So that was a great opportunity for those guys. And I remember that match being really good.
And we know that it's going to lead to, maybe Jerry Lawler's favorite tag team tournament in history, the TIT, the Terry Invitational Tournament, the TIT.
Wow.
Gangrel is removed from the Hardys. Terry Runnels is going to proclaim the winner of this best of 7 series between Edge and Christian and the Hardys is going to earn $100,000 and her services. I did not hate the idea of these guys being in a best of 7, and boy, did they deliver. But the show that everybody still talks about, and if you haven't seen it in a long time, it's worth another look, especially when you consider that it was 24 years ago. It's No Mercy 1999. These two teams put on a show of shows. It was a ladder match to determine the winner of the series. It was such a strong performance that the Pro Wrestling Torch gave this the match of the year. You're ringside for this, and I just would love to get your thoughts, because I know that some people in the wrestling world and space aren't fans of gimmick matches, and others are not fans of the risk associated with a ladder match because of the potential injury. and just the toll it takes on the performers. But man, as a fan, I got to tell you, I loved this match. You saw it up close and personal. What'd you think?
I just saw a picture there that Bull put up. I was wearing a white shirt and I had my hat on. So it was, I remember, it's funny what the little things you remember.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't wear that white shirt very much. But nonetheless, you're not supposed to wear white on TV.
I didn't know that. Is that a rule?
It's just, back in the day, it affected the cameras.
Oh, okay.
Back in the day. I think all the digital shit now and everything that's going on technologically, it's not an issue. I was awestruck. You know, at a certain point in your career, speaking of myself, because that's all I can speak for, you think, well, nothing's going to top that. And it's amazing how our business continues to top that. So I was awestruck. I was seeing things that I would never recommend they do. Just wouldn't. How do you tell a man how do you tell a guy that we need to have you do this on a ladder? So you're going to land spine first on the ladder.
Yeah.
With no athletic equipment on, bare skin, good luck. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And they got the crowd, man. That's when you really know when an announcer is able to lay out a little bit more than normal, which all of us need to lay out more. I don't know how those people that do they do the audio, closed captioning.
Yeah.
I don't know how the hell they pull that off.
They don't keep up.
We just talk, announcers today and all companies talk too much.
Yeah.
Let it breathe. I use this illustration, if you're a comedian, you're going to tell a joke. You're not going to tell the second joke until you get all the laughs out of that first joke. You're there to get jokes and let people laugh. That's the bottom line. So anyway,
hey Jim, can you do me a favor? Can you look right in the camera? Silva, go to a one shot. I want you to look right in the camera and say, "You talk too much."
You talk too much.
You're welcome, Matthew. And you're welcome to all of our listeners who don't want to feel like the Hardys and Edge and Christian the next day after a ladder match. You don't have to, thanks to our friends at AG1. Yeah. This is something that Jim and I really believe in. If you're a longtime listener to the show, you know I started taking this at the start of the pandemic. My wife had been on the AG1 train for a while before I even knew it existed. It turns out these guys have been doing it since 2010, and my wife knew about it way back when. She feels like she's more productive at the gym and she has more energy and she just starts her day and sets herself up for success. Well, she made me start taking it. Made me start taking it at the start of the pandemic because she said, this will help with your immune support. And not only that, we noticed it also helped with digestion. So like gut optimization and stress management. It turns out AG1 is leading the future of foundational nutrition and we want you to try it. They've been continuously refining their formula to create a smarter, better way to elevate your baseline health. You really set yourself up for success with just one scoop and a cup of water. That's it. You'll not only replace your multivitamin with AG1, but every scoop also has prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, everything you need for gut support. It's also got magnesium and B vitamins for energy support, all the adaptogens to balance your body's stress levels. And how about my favorite, vitamin C and zinc to support that immune system. I recommend this strongly to all my friends and family because I know it's backed by science. There's a team of doctors that are working with AG1 and all their scientists to test for 950 different contaminants. And now it's NSF certified for sport. It's formulated based on the latest science. It maintains the highest quality standards. And even my parents are drinking AG1 and they always tell me that they feel like it's a de-stressor and they have more regular gut health, but more importantly, they just feel like they have more energy. They don't have that afternoon crash. I can't wait to hear what your experience has been like with AG1. It's made me have more focus and more clarity at work. I don't have that afternoon crash. I don't need a little cat nap anymore. AG1 sets me up for success and they will you too. AG1 is the supplement I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why they've been a partner so long. So if you want to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Just go right now to drinkag1.com/JR. That's drinkag1.com/JR. Check it out. drinkag1.com/JR. I'm telling you, you're going to love it.
You sure are. It makes a difference. It's a difference maker. And it's so simple. And so your investment, folks, other than when you buy the product, is a few minutes in the morning to pour it in a container.
Yeah.
And then go sit down and watch TV and drink it. That's what I do.
Really strong. I want you to try it. drinkag1.com/JR. So listen, after No Mercy, man, the next night, the crowd gives these guys a standing ovation at Monday Night Raw. Even if
that was new, Conrad, I want to say you bring up a beautiful point. I had never experienced that either.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know if it was the right place, right time. A lot of reasons it could be, but man, oh man, I never experienced that. I didn't even know how to react to it, because you want to keep your heels and your baby faces as best one can without forcing the issue. It's all a psychological presentation in that regard, but it was pretty damned impressive when the full house, as you can see behind these dudes, if you're watching on YouTube, was supporting their efforts. I found it so. I think it started a trend, because that's not the first or the last time that we've seen crowds give talent standing ovations. It's just when I was starting in wrestling, that didn't happen, because you're not going to give a babyface a standing ovation under any circumstance, or a heel a standing ovation under any circumstance. It goes against your booking, goes against your casting.
Edge and Christian are going to start to show an edge, pardon the pun, as the build to WrestleMania begins, and it leads to another epic match at WrestleMania 2000. Edge and Christian are going to win their first tag team titles in the first ever triangle ladder match. Now, this is 2000. This isn't the TLC that we all talk about in 2001. This is maybe one of the great forgotten ones, WrestleMania 2000. And man, Edge and Christian walk away with their first tag team championship. Think about that. This is WrestleMania 2000. And in 1990, they were in the crowd for WrestleMania. So 10 years later, they're not sitting in the crowd watching the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan. They're on top of some ladders holding the tag team straps at WrestleMania. This is feeling like a movie so far, Jim, the story of Edge and Christian.
Yeah. Well, it has a lot of components that would do well in a movie, quite frankly.
Yes.
And hey, who knows? Tony Khan, being the entrepreneur that he is, may decide someday to pursue that. Who knows? I don't know. It would have surprised me. And it would be a great movie. So they really, from the time I signed them until this moment we're featuring right now, they made improvements regularly by leaps and bounds. And that's, to me, what separated them from a lot of the other guys. They never became complacent in their place on the card or their what they did in the ring.
Right. We got to talk about the rumor and innuendo. There was a plan to break up Edge and Christian, but the decision has changed. We don't wind up breaking them up. In hindsight, that was the right decision.
Right.
And I'm sure there was some concern at some point or some discussion. Do you think we were doing too much of the ladders and stunts? Oh my, with Edge and Christian.
Yes. The thing that you mentioned earlier, that some people don't like gimmick matches. I think my theory on that is I think that some people don't like the frequency of gimmick matches. Let me up. Let me process. Let me breathe. And don't give me a gimmick match every week. And, that's why back in the day, the loose illustration here, but back in the day, one of the most coveted bookings one could get was in the Cow Palace for their annual battle royal at the end of the year, because all the boys do. They're going to get a good payday. It sold out every year, but they only had one battle royal, so it wasn't overdone. Roy Shire, the promoter and the booker, kept it special by not overexposing that gimmick, because I promise you that it would run its course. Wrestling fans like new. They really like new and innovative, but there's not a lot more that the business can do that hasn't already been done.
Right.
You can just do it better. You can build it up better. You can tell a better story. You cast it or book it differently. So yeah, man, I you just got to keep them special. And that was the thing about it, is that I knew as a live event booker that having any combination of Edge and Christian, the Dudleys, and the Hardys in a match at a live event is going to help me sell tickets. So, and they were huge contributors to this ticket selling success in that period of time.
One of my favorite parts of the presentation in this era is they start doing, I guess, what's going to be known as the 5-second pose. Yeah. They're going to be newly found heels here. And with the help of Brian behind the scenes, they're writing some absolute fabulous comedy. But the 5-second pose, for those with the benefit of flash photography, this is just great stuff, is it not?
Yeah, we had a lightning in a bottle on that one. That was good. Brian Gewirtz is a brilliant guy. And, I've always had deep respect for Brian. We didn't always get along on certain ideas. We had different philosophies, and I had a lot different upbringing in the business than Brian and a lot of guys, because I started in the territories. And, as we've discussed ad nauseum, maybe I should get a t-shirt. 50 years next year. 50 years in less than a month, about a month away. So it's been an interesting journey, no doubt. So, but Brian is brilliant. I encourage anybody to read his book. It's entertaining as hell, just like him.
Yep.
And you won't regret it, I promise you.
No, you will not.
That's coming from a guy that's got a book coming out in a couple of months.
Hey, let's talk about Edge and Christian, because they have a great relationship with Brian. And when Brian comes in and starts to really make his mark in WWE, he works closely with Edge and Christian. And I know that that's been discussed a lot, maybe behind the scenes. I know there was even a wrestler court about their relationship and friendship. Did you see that as a potential issue? I mean, you're the guy in charge of talent relations. Did you see an issue with the talent being friends with the quote unquote writers? That doesn't seem like an issue to me.
I did not, Conrad. Here's what I thought. I thought it was smart.
Yes.
You're in a creative business, and you're getting the opportunity to work with one of the most creative guys ever in pro wrestling. God damn it, he's not old school. That's the Jim Cornette. If you didn't get it. But he might not be the cup of tea for everybody.
Right.
But here's what I applaud to the talent for being willing to compromise and collaborate. And I thought it was smart. I had no issue with it whatsoever. And I don't recall anybody coming to me and saying, what do you think of Edge and Christian saddling up with Gewirtz? I would have told them just what I told you. I think it's brilliant. More of you dudes should do it. Get close. Let your writer that's consulting with you and writing copy, let them know you better. Work on that. So that's kind of where I was on that thing. I thought it was smart.
Not long into the summer, we see Edge and Christian get paired up with Kurt Angle, and man, they continue to have just one great segment after another. Lots of comedy, really great stuff. And I know there's a cliche in the wrestling business that I think this presentation challenged. As the saying goes, funny doesn't draw money, but man,
I said that, Conrad.
Yeah.
And I have addressed my philosophy on that matter. I'm changing, in other words, I'm accepting that matter and giving it an opportunity at every turn in the road for me that I can. As an announcer, your job is to get things over in a story. It's not about getting yourself over, or identifying who's on the, hi, it's Jim Ross here. Welcome back, Jim Ross here. Shut up, JR. God almighty. They know who the hell you are. And what does it matter? So, those guys are just, they just entertain the shit out of me. I mean, they really, really did, and gave me a reason. Just like I said earlier, now on AEW, when Christian is on TV, cannot wait until he talks, because I know it's going to be entertaining, compelling, informative, all that stuff. He's spot on. There's not a better promo guy in wrestling today than Jay Resso, in my opinion.
I love the presentation here of these three guys. We should mention Edge and Christian do wind up dropping the tag titles to Too Cool, but they win them back at King of the Ring 2000. But I want to talk about the Georgia Dome show. It's a Monday Night Raw that happens on July 31st, 2000. And this is where the concerto was born on Jeff Hardy. What an amazing visual. What'd you think of? Huh? Yeah, golly, what a move.
My question to those guys when I heard the drift of this new move is, can you do it safely? Can you pull it off without beheading somebody or concussing them?
Yes.
And I was assured that was not going to be an issue. So what do? You trust your talent, or you just are be contrarian? I learned a lot, again, Cowboys stepping in with that knowledge. You got to let your top guys create, and you can't stifle their creativity.
Right.
And that's kind of what I looked at there was these guys wanted to do it. They're confident they could pull it off without injury. I couldn't afford to lose any of those guys. They're getting hot. I mean, quite honestly, it gave me a reason that I could leave Austin off a card and still be okay. Not as good, maybe. Probably not. But, you got to let your horses drink a little bit every now and then.
It was an incredible night, an incredible moment, an incredible visual. And around this same time, Mick Foley is the WWF.
You know what I did that night, Conrad?
What's that?
I got my ass beat by China.
Oh, did you really?
Tag match.
Wow.
Me and Austin. What a dynamic duo. And I remember she potatoed the shit out of me on her pedigree because I believe this is accurate. She had never done a pedigree on that unbalanced area in the ring, on the canvas and so forth, in those heels. Put her off balance. And the blunt of it was on my pretty face. So, that was quite the moment. That was a fun booking, actually, because Triple H is beautiful to work with. Take good care of you. But Joni was a little stiffer, and so that was a big night. Coming back to Atlanta, where I used to live, and it was kind of cool.
We got to talk about.
I did the job, Conrad. God damn it!
Well, it's not who gets over or who goes over. Yeah.
Whatever.
Mick Foley's the commissioner at this time. He's got great segments with Edge and Christian. Yep. Mick Foley, in my opinion, maybe one of the best commissioners in the history of WWE. What say you?
I say that Mick is one of the best communicators that I've ever been around in my career. He has a great way of tying things together. He's a great segue guy. Can go from one topic to the next almost seamlessly. Talent. We were so lucky to have him. It was so hard to get him hired, as many know, but it was one of the best hires, if not the best hire. It was one of them that I ever did. So sometimes you have to be a little lucky. I just knew that he was a guy that had great verbal skills. He was a guy that could cut a promo with anybody, heated, ravaged, crazy, funny, whatever. He had great range. So if we could be creative enough to tap into his creativity, then we got something. We got something special, and we found that out. And he was just great. He was great performer. But commissioner, I don't know who's even close.
Right.
Do you have an idea? I don't have an idea who's even close.
I think he's number one by a landslide.
Yeah, me too.
The Hardys are using ladders. Edge and Christian are using chairs, and the Dudleys are using tables. So that brings about TLC. The first one happened at SummerSlam 2000. Edge and Christian are going to retain their titles at SummerSlam. It's one of the greatest spectacles in professional wrestling history. If you haven't seen it in a while, it's another one to go watch. We love No Mercy and we love WrestleMania 2000, but SummerSlam, man, the first ever TLC, it's becoming apparent to me, especially with the benefit of hindsight. But even back then, I thought these guys are going to be thought of together, these three teams, sort of like we still think about the Rock and Roll Express and the Midnight Express. I think those three teams, they're going to be synonymous with each other for the rest of time.
They're tied together, Conrad. They're concreted. The adhesive that holds that bond together will never be broken. This great chemistry. You had a lot of creative minds in that 6-man equation. Everybody got to participate. Everybody got a vote, shall we say. So it was just incredible. The sad part about it for me, Al Franken, was the fact that I couldn't do that match on the road very often. It didn't make sense. Because you want to kill them?
Right.
Because they're going to try to go out and do better than the last time they did that match. And the risk-reward scenario of a 3-man TLC match is high. We are so damn lucky that somebody in that group didn't have to go get hospitalized, or as they say in TV wrestling, a local medical facility.
Right.
Shit. You went to the hospital, for God's sakes. Well, we don't want to overrun the switchboard, or whatever you call it. We don't? Why not? So anyway, it was just amazing, the chemistry they had, but it limited me. I could do these three-way matches in the house shows, and they sold a hell of a lot of tickets, and the guys made some damn good money. I remember I had a long, I don't know if I told you this story. Where in the hell was it? Maybe it was this match. Or did they wrestle again at WrestleMania, the following WrestleMania?
Oh, hell yeah, they did.
One of these matches, when they got their check, some were apparently displeased with what I paid them. And it was a lot of money. I mean, for that era, it's probably 35, 40 grand each. And I remember reluctantly, they had a meeting with me at an arena. And Bubba said, we got a problem with our pay. I said, okay, let's hear it. So I assume I can figure this out. It's too low. Or you're not going to tell me to take some of that money back because it's just heavy.
No chance.
So, anywho, we talked through it, and I said, well, here's what I'll do. Give me 1 week to come up with a solution. And I will, so next week at TV, in other words, let's talk about it. And I'll have an answer for you. So I did. I went to Vince. I said, I want to do something I haven't done very often. Like I didn't even remember when I'd done it before, where you go back in hindsight and it bumps somebody's pay up. Now I've bonus guys for taking, massive bumps or whatever, different reasons. But golly, Connie, I went to Vince and said, heck, I think I underpaid these dudes. They made a good point in their argument. And they were businessmen. Bubba did all the talking pretty much. And he represented those guys well because he got more money the next week. And they're all happy as hell. Now I'm sure it was the biggest payday they'd ever made anyway. But we widened the margin by what we bonused them the following week. And I kept my word. So that was kind of a source of pride. And I thought we did the right thing.
Hell yeah. Well, we know they're going to drop the titles to the Hardys at Unforgiven the next month in a cage match. The Hardys have a little help from Lita. She's really going to add to the presentation and the program. But the following night, after this,
Lita's a star.
No doubt.
Lita's a big star. She has enormous athletic ability and sex appeal. And she knows how to use both. And I think that she was like you said, Conrad, right, spot on. She was a huge addition to that presentation.
Just one night removed from this cage match, there's going to be the debut of the WWF on TNN. As you may recall, WWE had presented Monday Night Raw on USA. It felt like forever at that point. But now ECW gets the boot. They're off of TNN and here comes the WWF. So we need people to switch the channel and come see us on the new show. So we need some special attractions. We need to load the show up. So we have these guys go out again. The Hardys and Edge and Christian have a ladder match and the Hardys are going to retain, but this is maybe too much of the good stuff. It's really taking a toll. It has to, but then we get a little bit of comedy and I love this.
We should have been more creative, Connor. Excuse me for interrupting you.
Yeah.
We should have been more creative in the return match or what's going to sell or draw. You're telling me with all this brain trust, all these amazing pro wrestlers that are helping in the booking decisions, we couldn't come up with something other than another TLC match. And that always kind of bothered me because you got to, it's almost like we're not respecting the talent enough because how much work can they take?
Right.
And they're not going to complain. So you got them by the short hairs. They need Manscaped. Just not going to happen. It's not going to happen, man. So I thought I was disappointed in that decision as we're going forward. In hindsight, probably maybe the day of the show, I thought, oh God, great, we're going to get to call another one of these matches. I don't remember that being my emotion, but it could have been.
Edge and Christian are going to transform into Los Conquistadors and win the tag team titles from the Hardys. This was one of my favorite moments. It was silly. It was fun. I loved it. And the next time we see Edge and Christian, they do something that you would have never thought you would see in wrestling programming. And it proved that these guys are talented enough and connected to the audience well enough that they can pretty much get away with anything. They start playing kazoos. Who would have thought that they could get that over, but somehow Edge and Christian did.
Brian Gewirtz.
Yes.
There's your answer.
It's unbelievable.
Short answer, quick question. Gewirtz has got such a great comedic mind. As I said, one illustration of his skill, and you can see what we were working with. Look, The Rock's married to him. That tells me all I need to know. Brian works for The Rock. He was involved in Young Rock and in a big way. But he's a funny guy. He's like a comedian. He's like one of those Jewish comedians at heart. And who's better? I got hooked watching the other day on Facebook these interviews with George Burns in his 90-something, sharp as a tack. and what a storyteller. But yeah, it was. But it reminded me of Brian in a way that he'd take the normal thing and make it funny. Take the most obscure, mundane issue and make it funny. And he did it with these guys a lot. And then to their credit, the Talon's credit, they learned to utilize Brian's skill set. And they learned to interpret his copy. It was just good stuff, man. Good stuff.
We even see them start to rub shoulders with some big time main eventers, guys like The Rock and The Undertaker. Of course, they find themselves teaming with Kurt Angle as well. And Kurt actually becomes the world champion. So now you've got Kurt with the world title, Edge and Christian with the tag titles. I mean, nobody would ever make this comparison, but a stable with all the belts. I mean, this feels Horseman-esque, except it's fun. It's funny. And they've really grown very quickly when you think about their debuts and how quickly they've enjoyed so much success. Their final tag team victory takes place at WrestleMania 17 in Houston, the one you were talking about, TLC 2. This is probably the gold standard for TLC matches, the most famous of them all, the one that gets talked about the most, the one with the spear in midair and all the other craziness.
Was that amazing or what?
Yeah.
The spear in midair.
Yes.
Just think, ladies and gentlemen, of how challenging athletically and the timing required not to crash and burn. And somehow they pulled it off. That took me out of my my skivvies, kind of.
Just a few weeks later, they dropped the tag titles after, leaving WrestleMania with the tag straps again. They did it in 2000. They're doing it in 2001. But now they're going to drop them to Kane and The Undertaker. And this is where we first start to see the tease of Edge and Christian breaking up. Edge is going to win the King of the Ring. His little brother is going to keep celebrating with the trophy and step into Edge's spotlight. Edge is going to do more and more singles matches. I mean, I understand that this is just what we do in wrestling. When we have a tag team and we feel like we've done everything there is to do, we ease into singles. Do you think Christian was happy with that? Or do you think in hindsight would have rather kept the team together a little longer?
I don't know how he could have been happy with it.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. I don't know. I don't see how he could be happy because he's going to be, Edge is leaving him.
Yes.
They're getting this relationship annulled. And when they reconvene after this dust is settled, Edge is going to be going in one direction, up. Christian's going to be at best staying where he is. Maybe dropping down a bit. So I don't know how Christian could have been happy with that scenario. But I'll tell you this, he never bitched once. He just didn't want to make waves. And I've always respected that.
We should talk about the big turn. Christian finally turns on Edge. Monday Night Raw is where else? Toronto, Canada. Edge retains his Intercontinental title over Lance Storm, and then Christian hits his brother in the head with a chair and eventually does a solo concerto.
Right.
And that eventually...
I remember that very well.
It was a big moment. You thought that you'd see these guys forever, and here's the big turn. And now we've got feuding brothers, and I'm sure they were both happy to still be working with each other, but as a fan, as much as I enjoyed the turn and thought it was well done and all that, I still liked Edge and Christian as a tag team, but
right. Well, Conrad, we said this earlier.
Yes.
You never know when enough is enough. When do you break up Arn and Tully? Do you ever break up Dennis and Bobby? Type thing. Ricky and Robert. It didn't work. And so I think that it ran its course in the eyes of the decision makers, primarily Vince. We saw stardom, and I don't want to break my arm patting myself on the back, but I saw it early that Edge had the potential to be special because he was committed to the vocation. He wanted to be great. He was willing to work harder than anybody to raise his game. And of course, that Christian either had to step up or step out. And I think that there was an adjustment period to that scenario. But like I said, Christian never bitched to me one time, and God knows he would have. Everybody else did.
Bit of an odd twist. A lot of odd things happening here in 2001. Christian turns heel. He joins the Alliance. The Alliance in the WWF feud is taking over everything. And Christian in the Alliance doesn't exactly take off, but he does become the Intercontinental Champion, defeating Edge at Unforgiven.
Hey, Bull, put that picture back up. Okay, Conrad, you got this. There's a lot of real good guys in this picture.
Yes.
That can work. There's Tommy Dreamer, Raven, Hurricane, is that DDP?
It is, yeah.
But who gets over? The Dudleys are there. I mean, all of a sudden, your little town got overpopulated, and housing was short. So who gets over in this scenario? I understand the opportunity to get more exposure for guys, but there's only so much jelly that can go on this damn PB&J, man, before it screws up. So I really, this is a mistake. And not because of any of the individuals in this picture, but because who gets over? How much creative can you handle? And how do you make this thing special? And that's what I always found challenging. It's almost impossible to make this many people in a faction special.
We should talk about Edge regaining the Intercontinental title at No Mercy. Yet again, a ladder match. This time it's a singles between the two. They go out and absolutely kill each other. The crowd is maybe not as into it as they have been in the past. Do you think at this point?
Because of what you said earlier, Conrad, your own words, you liked them as a team.
Yeah.
And now I don't have that.
Yes.
You've taken that away from me as something I really enjoyed and that I supported. But I don't have, you took that from me. So maybe I'm not as emotionally invested as I would normally have been. I think that was the case here as we could hear and see.
In a sign of things that were maybe not quite up to speed just yet, Christian wins the European title from Bradshaw on a taped SmackDown. I bring this up because the match actually never aired because the show wound up running too long. It's a taped show, and it's only mentioned on commentary that Christian won the title. And I got to think, if I'm Christian, winning a title not airing makes me wonder, where's my standing in the company at this point?
Well, it's not as high as he wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And high as a lot of us would have preferred. See, the guys that come to work and they hit that locker room, how they represent themselves is infectious to the others around them. And Christian was he just was a player, man. He hung in there. It took him so long to get to his destination in WWE. The last thing he wanted to do was to self-inflict a wound that's going to take him out of it.
We should mention that, after the Survivor Series 2001, Christian is able to stay on TV, even though this Alliance feud is over. He's going to start a feud with Positively Page, DDP. And we see the emergence of a new version of Christian, kind of a crying, whiny Christian. And this is a guy who's had just a phenomenal run so far as a tag team wrestler and then enjoyed some single success. But I don't know. Do you like the crybaby character? I mean, I know that Christian did his best with it, but it doesn't feel like a money character.
It wasn't his idea. It wasn't his idea, Conrad. Right. No, I didn't like it. It's annoying. A heel should have a myriad of emotions, all enhancing their character. And that's why I'm not a major proponent of too much, keyword too much, heel humor. If a heel makes me laugh, which I perceive to be a positive emotion, then maybe I'm booking it wrong.
Right.
Because I don't care. And I like that guy. He makes me laugh. He's funny. He's entertaining. So I don't want to see him lose. So it's just against the normal train of thought. So, but no, I didn't think that was his best, Christian's best presentation, and not because of him. Just sometimes you get painted into a corner with a certain colored brush, and it takes a while for that paint to rub off.
Christian is going to hang around on TV, but boy, he's sliding down the card, and he eventually links up with Lance Storm, and they create the Un-Americans, and it brings Christian back up. They're going to become tag team champions.
Yeah, two of my favorite guys, Conrad. Two of my favorite guys. And Lance Storm he's a treasure.
But the photo we're looking at on YouTube right now is the picture of reliability in wrestling, right?
Oh, hell yeah. Hey, if I had a territory, I'd do all I could to hire both those guys.
Well, Christian once again finds himself standing across the ring from Edge, but Edge's tag team partner, Hulk Hogan. Again, this feels like a movie. Once upon a time, the real life Jay and Adam went and made the pilgrimage to the Sky Dome to see Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania. And now they're tagging with him and against him for the tag titles. This is really, really fun, cool stuff. It's one of the more famous nights in WWE history we should talk about. August 26th, Madison Square Garden, just a few weeks before the first anniversary of 9/11. There's a segment aired of the Un-Americans attempting to burn the American flag.
No.
But they're stopped by Booker T, Goldust, and a returning Kane. And the rumor and innuendo was that pretty much everyone had an issue with this. It's going to lead to them breaking up what was beginning to be a pretty hot act. Just more bad news for Christian. What do you remember about the discussion of in New York burning an American flag like a year removed from 9/11? This is a horrible idea.
I have no idea. In the shadow of Twin Towers.
Yes.
How anyone could even think of burning the American flag. That's go away heat, as they say in the business. It's not heel heat. It's not where I want to see the bad guys who are wanting to burn the flag get beat up.
Right.
It's just distasteful. How do you get the audience to accept this horse shit? And to me, that's what it was. And all because of where we were, the timing, and look, to burn a flag in any day, any town, any reason is uncalled for. It's negative heat. If you're a promoter, don't book negative heat. Don't book heat that's going to drive people away, that go away heat. And man, once you get in that go away heat zone, it's hard to detach.
It's also reported around this time, you were there, so I want you to clear this up, that the office comes to Christian and wants him to cut his hair, and he refused. Yeah. Do you remember this conversation? Was this a real story?
I think I do kind of vaguely. I can't remember. That came from creative. I mean, I'm not sitting in my talent relations office saying, who could I get a haircut today?
Right.
You know? So it wasn't on my radar. So I guess what Jay did was go to the creative guys or he was working with. And I don't know if that included Brian Gewirtz or not. I have no idea. But I remember it being discussed. It was sometimes in wrestling, one of our biggest enemies is change for change's sake. Well, I'm tired of that. That's a Vince McMahon thing. You know, I know of people he's got rid of that he just got tired of looking at, seriously. And that's hard to function if you're trying to make a living. So anyway, I don't know, Connie. I don't know how that flag thing could even be, why would it have even been discussed? It made it to television. Are you shitting me? Go away heat. You want to go away heat? You're being counterproductive.
Let's cut it right there. And there's so much more to talk about, Christian, but that'll do for today. Let's do a handful of questions. And by the way, go out of your way to hit up Christian on social media. He's probably going to shit on you and tell you he's your daddy, but it is his 50th birthday.
Tell him how we put him over.
Yeah, why not? That sounds nice.
He's got something to look forward to.
Call Me Lionheart says, why do you think Christian never got a consistent main event push and eventual world title win in his initial WWE run? To me, he was every bit as entertaining as Edge was and probably a better worker. Do you think it was because he was the quote unquote smaller guy?
I do. Yes, I do. His size, his look, didn't do him any favors at certain points in his career. And I know that my belief is that McMahon didn't push him more because he didn't like Christian's look. He didn't sell him. It wasn't the wow factor. He wasn't the guy, except for his hair, that would walk through an airport and not be noticed. He fit in. And, Edge being 6'4", stood out. So, yeah, size had a big issue there at times. And he's past it now, thank God, for AEW. That's why he's one of the best heels in the friggin' business.
Brad Stanton wants to know, is Christian one of the best at towing the line between good and heel and inappropriate behavior?
Yeah, that's a good question. Good job there, Brad. Yeah, I think so. Hey, he said some lines in these various promos over the last several weeks that made me laugh. And to be honest with you, in my old school bringing, I don't want to encourage laughter as a byproduct of a heel. Maybe occasionally, if it's natural, it's organic, sure. But as a normal course of business, not so much.
Dylan wants to know, Jim, in your opinion, is Christian the best heel working today?
Well, that's hard to say because I don't know what the criteria is. Is it TV ratings or ticket sales or merchandise sales, or just to the ear of the viewer? I said earlier, I think he does some things better than anybody.
Yes.
Is he the best heel in the business? Hard to say based on what your criteria might be, but I'll say this. He's a top 5 heel in my eyes and ears without a doubt.
Next week, JR, we're going to be talking about Starrcade 1989 from the Omni. We're going to discuss the Iron Man and Iron Team tournaments with Sting, Lex Luger, the Great Muta, and Ric Flair. Meanwhile, on the tag team side, we've got Doom, the Steiners, the Road Warriors, and the new Wild Samoans. And we're also going to talk about why the round robin nature made it tough to follow. And maybe the show is not all that well
politically tough. We made it politically tough, Conrad. And, in full, transparency, it was my idea to do the round robin. Is it my best idea? No. As it worked out, it wasn't. But it was good for promotion. All these teams they're going to face each other, without exception. Round robin, everybody got to go once with the other guys.
Yeah, that's big.
And I just thought it was a good promotional vehicle. I didn't realize how much political unrest that it created because guys didn't want to put other guys over.
We'll talk about it next week, but there's nothing political about advertising on this program. You hear some of the same sponsors week after week, year after year. Why is that? Well, because it really works. And if you're looking for dudes 25 to 54 years old, man, we got them. And because it's such a targeted audience, there's very little waste. Find out how affordable and effective it can be for you at advertisewithjr.com. Also want to mention, we'd love to have your questions about next week's topic at JR Grilling over on Twitter and Instagram, Grilling JR over on Facebook. The easiest, cheapest, best way to support the show is to support our YouTube. That's Grilling JR on youtube.com. And of course, we've got tons of new swag just in time for the holidays over at grillingjrtees.com. Something great for the wrestling fan in your life, but the gift that keeps on giving, you'll be in a reorder situation as if you go to jrsbbq.com. We've got trading cards. We got action figures. We got 2 types of barbecue sauce. We got the Chipotle ketchup. We got the main event mustard. We got JR's red ass hot sauce, and my personal favorite, the all-purpose seasoning. A friend of mine just tried this on eggs in the last few weeks. They're using it every single day. It works on everything, whether it's popcorn or eggs, or of course your chicken and fish and steak. Oh my, jrsbbq.com is your hookup. Is it not, Jim?
Yeah, absolutely. Our Oklahoma-based company just had its biggest 3 days in history for
Wow.
us. Yeah, it was good. Black Friday kicked it off big time. Stephen Link, who's the managing partner there, put some really good specials together. I think some of them are still on the site. You can check it out. It don't cost you nothing to look. So business has been great, and I think people see that it's a common sense, practical gift, stocking stuffer type scenario. We got gift boxes, or pre-packed. It's just we got a lot of good stuff there. And look, we're building that thing without an ad budget. We're building that little brand just out of hard work and dedication. Steven does a great job, and so I try to contribute when I can. So anyway, good stuff, man. So we appreciate your business. Don't forget about us, because you still got time to get your stuff shipped and arrive on time for those unique stocking stuffers. Just think of how it would be if you were a diehard wrestling fan and for Christmas you got some JRs.
Come on.
It's a unique gift, man. And it's usable. You can eat it. So anyway, I appreciate the support, everybody. It's a labor of love. It's just an extension of my mom and my granny, my mother, and my ex-wife, late wife. God damn. This getting old shit, Conrad. It's hard. It's hard, buddy. So anyway, Mom and Jan helped create a lot of those recipes and sauces, and so I'm trying to build it for them. I sound like I'm going to get rich and retire. I just I want to keep their memories and their projects alive. So simple deal, nothing too complicated.
Check it out, jrsbbq.com, and we would love to hear your questions about Starcade 89 coming your next week right here on Grilling JR. In the meantime, be sure to check out those college football games. I picked all the underdogs. JR went with a lot of favorites, but on Saturday night, be sure to check in to Collision. Tickets are on sale now, AEWTIX.com. And don't forget, if you missed the pre-sale, which is happening right now for Wembley at AEWTIX.com, you can actually pick up your tickets the old fashioned way this weekend, AEWTIX.com. Jim, I had a great time talking about Christian today and learning a little bit about your farts, and can't wait to learn more next week.
Well, good. We'll keep the flatulence conversations limited to the show. But we appreciate you guys. Thanks for supporting us. Conrad and I really do. You deserve a big hug, and thanks very much for taking care of us.
We'll see you next week right here on Grilling JR with the voice of wrestling, Mr. Jim Ross. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson here to tell you a little more about what adfreeshows.com is all about. Get early ad-free access to more than a dozen of your favorite wrestling podcasts every single week, starting at just $9. That's less than 20 cents an episode each month. And yes, you can listen to them all directly through Apple Podcasts or your regular podcast apps. How easy is that? Ad-free shows also has thousands of hours worth of bonus content and docuseries like Title Chase, Eric Fires Back, Conversations with Conrad, and The Insiders. Plus new series like The Book with David Crockett, Monday Mailbags with Mike Chioda and Nick Patrick, and a whole lot more. And you want to talk about early? You can't get any earlier than listening to the shows live. You can be a part of the live studio audience as we record the podcast. Plus, ride shotgun alongside your favorite childhood heroes for live watch-alongs, Q&As, and other interactive experiences every single month. Come on now, see for yourself what thousands of other wrestling fans from around the world have discovered, that adfreeshows.com is the best value in wrestling. Check it out today, and hey, when you do, the first week is completely free. adfreeshows.com.